Hey guys, Vinny Merchandani. Pleasure to have Dean Daniel Pullin from the Neeley School of Business at Texas Christian University, my alma mater. For some reason, the dean has me on his advisory board, and it keeps me on there. So thank you, Dean, for A, joining us, and B, hope you're doing fine in Fort Worth. I think your county has been doing pretty well, but tell us how you're doing.
Yeah, we're doing great here. Really proud of all the leadership in the community and county. Definitely keeping everybody safe and being really thoughtful about balancing a lot of competing factors. But for the most part, I feel like we're doing a really great job here in Fort Worth and certainly at TCU.
Great. Well, one of the things that has been fascinating in all the doom and gloom is we've been seeing all kinds of heroics and acrobatics, right? Healthcare heroics, manufacturing companies jumping into auto companies making ventilators, last mile logistics just taking off, telemedicine taking off. So it's been a time for a lot of innovation, a lot of acrobatics. The Dallas-Fort Worth Airport area has always been innovative. Tell us what you're seeing and tell us what you're hearing from other institutions.
Yeah, I think it's anytime you have a moment of clear disruption, there's an opportunity to, either sit back and be passed by, or to, push the gas and take advantage of the moment. And, holding the human tragedy dimension of this aside, I've observed a lot of different companies from large companies to startup companies that are really innovating at the moment. One of the ones that I've been following, there's a company here in DFW called iDocs Web, which is a telemedicine company who pivoted its model to actually provide its software free to any care provider in the country during this time. And not only is that helping save lives and give people good care, but they are also entrenching their product and service with these caregivers. And so once we're past this, it'll be a go-to part of their portfolio. And I think it'll be a really savvy business strategy. And so, that's technology and healthcare, but I'll contrast that with a local proprietor. We have a little shop in downtown Fort Worth area called Sundance Square. It's called the Virgin Olive Oiler. And the owner has, taken to pivoting his entire business model from walk-in traditional retail to using a lot of digital commerce. He is hounding his customers, his entire customer database every day with multiple emails. And even though he admits that might be annoying, it's what he has to do to hustle to survive. And he's packing the orders himself. He's doing custom home delivery for each and every order. And he's building a rapport with his customer base that I think will endure beyond this crisis as well. Even here at TCU, we have been very fortunate to be able to accelerate some of our plans for innovations, particularly around our curriculum. We had wanted to expand our emphasis on data analytics, business analytics, in response to market sentiments, student sentiment, employers thirsting for more prepared graduates in that dimension. At the same time, we had a lot of graduating seniors across all colleges at TCU that did not that didn't have jobs because of the economic challenges of the day. And so we created an all new graduate program, a Master's of Science in Business Analytics. And we did that in 3 weeks, not 2 years as it usually takes to get one of those things done. And we've provided a sensible option for graduating seniors to earn a master's degree, stay with TCU one more year, and increase their marketability. And none of that would have ever happened if we didn't have the urgency of the moment and the crisis from which to leverage. And so it's our version of the ventilator, just as General Motors and others changed of what they did from a manufacturing perspective to meet the needs of the times and give patients oxygen to endure. We're giving our students oxygen through creating all new innovative graduate programs. So whether you look at the private sector and higher ed, we've really benefited from this moment to allow us to think a little differently and put ourselves in a stronger competitive position.
That's fantastic that you've been able to come up with a master's program so quickly in a couple of weeks. Uh, Dean, one of the challenges I'm sure you face is campuses have always been about big crowds, right? Stadiums, libraries, classrooms. How are you pivoting, making adjustments, given that distancing is becoming so important? Tell us about some of the adjustments you've had to make.
Yeah, well, the first adjustment we had to make is to ensure instructional continuity when we did not have the luxury of coming together in a on-campus residential model. That's something that TCU really has prided ourselves on, is that personal, connected environment both in and out of the classroom. And so we didn't have a lot of online or remote instruction readiness. So we had to work really hard creatively with a heavy dose of innovation to move all of our classes from an in-person model to a remote delivery a mechanism. Took, in about 10 days is about how much notice we had. And so we did that first, and that got us through the end of the spring semester, I think, in a good way. But now we have the summer between semesters, and we're working really hard to continue to provide comprehensive faculty training, not just to figure out how to teach online, but best practices in remote delivery. And so every single one of our faculty is going through a summer boot camp and redesigning every single course at the graduate and undergraduate level, which will strengthen not only our ability to deliver in a flexible way, but it will also give us a chance to look anew at all of the content of our courses and to be as market relevant as possible. So that's kind of step two. And then step three is we are looking for at all of the the prevailing health guidelines. We're looking at actually 4 different scenarios for coming back in the fall based upon what the world allows us to do. And that's having implications on our physical classrooms, the density of, our corridors, the various mechanisms, technological or otherwise, that we use to deliver high quality education and supporting student experiences, as well as the sort of the flexibility necessary in today's world.
Dean, it's interesting you say that, the 4 scenarios. Every executive I've talked to said the shutdown was painful, but the reopening is turning out to be 10 times more complex. So, your 4 scenarios are similar. Dean, you've always been a very optimistic, positive person. What else have you had to draw on to lead in this crisis? I mean, this is not something you learned in business school. This is not something you taught us in business school, right? Crisis this wide,
Right.
this wide or this deep. So where do you get your inspiration from? Is it faith? Is it family? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly faith, and I'm so blessed to have the family that I do. They've supported me in such a great way, and have been very encouraging as I've had to navigate along with our leadership team this circumstance. I also get a lot of strength from our students and our student leaders. So one of the things that I prioritize is the power of the student voice. When I was going to school, I was a student leader, and I had an opportunity to have influence in the future of the institutions I attended, and I've really valued the time I've been able to spend getting to listen to our students and thought partner with them and see that their aspirations haven't been dulled one bit. And that's very inspirational to me, encouraging to me to continue to support their dreams and be on the critical path to making them real, regardless of the circumstances of the time. And so I tell you what, I'm so blessed to have the opportunity I do. I'm just a phone call or a telemeeting away from the opportunity to talk to a bright young person who is just like instant energy for me and keeps me going, regardless of the challenges ahead.
So Dean, your demographics, student demographics, are likely to change, right? Much fewer foreign students, maybe more in-state students. Is that an opportunity to gain market share? It seems like your competitive landscape is going to change quite a bit, and your demographic is going to change quite a bit? Or is that too early to decipher?
Yeah, so I watch that every week. I get a new report on that, and I'll tell you that certainly the international students. I think that's a very challenged situation now for a variety of circumstances. You know, for example, some students aren't even able to enter the country at this point, given certain restrictions, and so we are seeing some challenges there. But we've also come up with some creative solutions to provide instances of remote learning to international students, even if they have to remain in their home country for a period of time. As far as the in-state, out-of-state mix at the undergraduate level, that's actually holding pretty consistent. TCU is a very aspirational school. It's hard to get into, and students across the country are lining up to be a Horn Frog. And we're so pleased and fortunate to have that situation. I've actually had a chance to, because my schedule's changed so much from what I have historically done as dean, I've actually been on a lot of calls with students, prospective students, parents, really making sure I have a finger on the pulse of how they're feeling. And for the most part, if you look at our numbers, the enrollments and deposits look really strong. And I think there's a lot of excitement to either get back to campus again, or to become a Horn Frog for the first time. Now, that's at the undergraduate level. At the graduate level, I think the innovation that we've been able to insert into our graduate programs, particularly from a delivery model perspective, will allow us to be more attractive to non-traditional working professional students that can't come to campus full time. And so I would expect to absolutely gain market share at the graduate level, particularly since we're revitalizing every single class over the summer. So we're going to have more flexibility and more market relevance than ever before in our graduate program. So the future is very bright on that dimension as well.
Tell us about what, I'm hearing the word business continuity more often than I ever did. I'm hearing resilience more than I ever did. Is that affecting your curriculum? Are you having to rethink some of the courses? How do we focus on business continuity, disaster recovery type of scenarios, or no more than normal?
Yeah, no, it is in a lot of ways. It is both in the formal curriculum and then in some of our experiential learning and project-oriented experiences as well that our students benefit from. So where typically when you see curricular innovation at the TCU Neeley School of Business, it usually will start with our executive education programs. These are lifelong learning programs that we provide in partnership with corporate partners, and they are very quick to identify the needs and opportunities for their workforce, and we design against that market need in many cases. Those are easy to stand up, and quick, and very targeted. And so even since the crisis has started, we've seen a lot of adjustments in our executive ed opportunities in response to market requests. We have programs on adaptive and agile leadership, crisis communication, business continuity, and in all of those topics. And so what's great about that is not only do we meet the business need of our partners, but we are able to position our faculty to then incorporate that in our graduate and undergraduate curriculum. So I think that we're moving with pace to offer that at all levels, but it's already occurring with our exec ed programs, and we're proud of that. From a project-based perspective, so much of our curriculum now is experiential and active learning, that the projects that our students are doing are very increasingly focused on these types of topics. We had students in our entrepreneurship program recently complete a hackathon on designing new companies and services to address mental health issues during the crisis. Elsewhere, we're working with a geographic information systems company to help them bring some food security solutions to the marketplace. And our faculty and students are working arm in arm with the leaders of those types of companies. And so both in the traditional curriculum as well as the experiential and applied dimension of what we do, I think we're seeing a dramatic shift in the nature and quality and topics of the day. Which keeps it very fresh and and obviously relevant.
That's great to hear about your innovations there. Neeley has always been very good at placing its graduates, right? One of the reasons you attract people is because you have a good destination for them. This must be a tough year, both for internships and full-time offers. Tell us about some of the acrobatics your students are doing to in a dramatically different market.
Yeah, it is. It's been really challenging. A lot of times people will ask me the question, what keeps you up at night? Well, this is the thing that keeps me up at night, because some of it we can control and some of it, is very, very market driven. I'm very, very proud of the strength of the Horned Frog Network. We, have a very deep culture and have been transforming lives for decades here. And so our alums have really helped us step up and work even at the individual student level to mitigate the impacts of, an economy that now in, just 2 months has 36 million unemployed, workers. And so what we have been able to do is on the full-time permanent placement, that's actually gone really well. Most of our corporate partners and alums have honored those commitments. And when we've had a few that have shifted, we have been able to find alternative employment opportunities. At the graduate level, I think we actually only have about 10 students right now that we're still working with. And that's given rise to an innovation in and of itself. We've created a new model called your personal advisory team for each and every one of our graduate students. So they will be paired not only with faculty and staff, but an alum and a corporate leader in their area of choice. And those people will be on their team working with them for customized placement. And so that's another feature and benefit that is a product of our time. Hopefully we'll be able to incorporate that into the entirety of what we do for our students moving forward. But it's like having your own personal board of directors that's deeply invested in the future of you. And so I have a lot of confidence, even though it's a challenging market, that we're going to get those final 10 students placed and be able to be very proud of what we did, even in one of the worst job environments that any of us have ever seen here, at least in the short term. But again, that comes back to brand, that comes back to culture, and the ability to innovate, not go backwards, not stand still, but to take an opportunistic view of our times.
Well, it sounds like you're doing backflips to get them placed. So thank you for that. Dean, you're a very optimistic person, but I've been asking everybody this because I know you're also pragmatic about the situation. Do you expect a V recovery, like a sharp rebound? Do you think the recovery is going to be a U, gradual? Is it going to be a W, up and down, depending on flare-ups, depending on regional, the pace of regional growth will be different? Or is it going to be L? It's going to be dead for a while.
Yeah, it's it's a big question. So, I think my opinion is that it's going to be some kind of a blend between a U and a W, to the extent that I get to choose. Some people have defined that almost as a swoosh, thinking, connoting the Nike logo. So what we have is 36 million unemployed people that were working in particular jobs in a particular time. We're at a different time, and businesses have had to adjust so dramatically that so many of those jobs, some of those will come back over time, but not all of them will come back the same way. So I'm quite skeptical that you would get that sharp recovery, overnight, because the world is different. And so it will take some time. We also have uncertainty, health uncertainty. We don't know if there'll be a resurgence, so that could also give rise to another drop if it's not controlled and it's dramatic. And then you just have to think about some of the underlying industries that have been impacted. The airline industry will not come back the same way. Commercial real estate, in the density that implies, may be challenged for some time. Think about entertainment, hospitality, anything involving large group gatherings. the financial performance of industries tied to any of those dimensions will take quarters, if not years, to come back to where it was. So yeah, I would think definitely a U with the possibility of a bit of a W could be in order. Some people are actually self-selecting out of the workforce right now. I've even had folks in my shop that are deeper into their careers who have the capacity to retire, and they're just like, what, the uncertainty of the future is it's more risk than I want to take on, and I think I'm going to de-risk it by controlling my own future in a different way. And so there'll be some people that just stay home for an unknown period of time, because of uncertainty. So I don't think that it'll be a V. I think it will be extended. It'll be a grind, and it may have some fluctuation. But this is one. This is an innovative, hardworking, resilient country. And I think that most people I'm talking to are, they're ready to get back to work. They're ready to roll up their sleeves, and they'll do whatever it takes to continue to compete and win.
Well, stay with the half glass half full mindset, because I'm certainly doing that. I'm seeing all kinds of acrobatics. So, we can call us foolish, but we could ignore the doom and gloom and keep hoping for the V, even though it looks unlikely. Dean, thank you so much. Any final thoughts?
No, I just think it is a really amazing time to be alive and enjoy the benefit of a leadership position. I could have never dreamed about the circumstances that we have ourselves, but I'm so proud to have the chance to lead and to be part of those acrobatics, and I'm so proud of the other leaders that I'm seeing all over the world, who are stepping up and doing the same. It really underscores the importance of innovation and leadership in times of uncertainty and doubt. And we're gonna make it, and we're gonna keep that glass half full, and go Frogs.
Dean, on behalf of all the alumni, thank you for your leadership, and good luck with the turbulent waters. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.